Everybody, how are you? Great to see you. All my friendly, smiling, and kind faces and souls. I know it's quite a hectic time here if you live in the United States celebrating Thanksgiving. And I was asked whether I was going to do this weekend. I'm like, I need to. I committed to this. And if one person gets something out of this, then I've done my job. So I'm glad you guys I'm honored that you took time to be here today, and honored for the incredible speakers, yet another amazing lineup that we have today. If this is your first time to the rally, welcome. We do this the last Saturday of every month. This is number 18, which I am so excited about. Never thought it would get to 18, thought it was going to be a one-time thing, but here we are. And the way this goes, this is a heart-to-heart conversation. This is meant to empower and inspire people. So if you go away with one extra ounce of inspiration, or extra ton for that matter, we've done our job. We've done our job. It's like a monthly reminder that it's awesome to be you. We have 5 fabulous storytellers. They will each have 10 minutes to share a story of courage, perseverance, defying the odds, sometimes that they have never ever shared with anyone until this rally. I've had that happen before, which truly honored and blessed. So we call it the Kindness and Hope Rally, because we are here to be kind to each other and remind each other that there is hope in this world, regardless of the circumstances we may have been brought up in, regardless of the environment, the culture, anything that we thought may be going against us. So the way to show kindness is, first of all, you already have shown up because you are here to support people as they truly embody themselves. And second of all, as our speakers speak and share their moments of truths and stories, if you can show kindness by either doing a digital heart or doing an old-fashioned heart like this, showing them that you can relate to what they are saying, that if you feel like they're getting touched when they're going back in time and history of a time where they were struggling, but they get emotional, show them a heart, telling them that they indeed are awesome the way they are, and that you can relate to them, and they are courageous in what they are sharing with us. So we are here to spread kindness, show kindness. And just by being here, you really mean a lot to me and show kindness in a lot of ways. As always, so great to see so many faces from different parts of my life, and so many new faces as well. Bless you. As always, I start off with a few words. No idea ever what I'm going to say, but I trust my gut, trust my instinct. And I recently went forward and took a jump into doing something I really wanted to do, which is I let others tell their stories, but I've never actually sat down and told my own story, or at least portions of it. So I decided to embark in the journey of preparing to do a TED Talk. And so I am training right now. I'm doing this wonderful course for, it's like 6 weeks long, and I'm going to do my practice run. And I had such a hard time coming up with what I'm going to say, because I have so many things I want to share. And I all of a sudden became traumatized within myself. I became just emotionally just empty. And I'm a writer by trade. I'm a writer. I've always known what to write. I've done videos in the past on LinkedIn, and words just come to me. But when it came time to tell my story, and I'm imagining people listening to me for being me, that is when I started to get frozen, which I feel very hypocritical, because I hold these every single month, and I invite you guys to share your stories. I've shared pieces here and there, and then this morning I just clicked. I've been trying to write this script for the past 3 weeks, and nothing has come. And this morning it just clicked. Andrea, You just need to trust the journey, like you always tell yourself and you tell others, and you need to be yourself. If you were going to see a friend, do you have to script out what you're going to say? Or do you commit to that friendship and know that you just going to have a great time and it's meant to be with that person? Whether it's through supporting them, whether it's from something that you need to say to them that is going to make them feel better, or maybe something that just having their presence in front of you makes you realize something about yourself and that you are stronger and that you are worth it. So it's the same thing as having a friendship or showing up and waking up and being in front of my children every day. Do I have to script that out? No, I just wake up and be myself. So I'm going to take a different approach, despite knowing that there's going to be a crowd, despite knowing that this is going to be recorded, and despite knowing this may be my only chance to do a TED Talk or audition to do a TED Talk. I just need to be me. Because if I audition my friendship date with my friend, if I audition how I'm going to come across to my children every single day, am I going to be me? No, I'm going to rob them of me being genuinely heart to heart with them. I'm going to rob them of the words and the emotions and the feelings and the nonverbal and everything else, that I am meant to put out that day. So enough of being scripted in this life, whether it's TED Talk, whether it's showing up every single day with your friends, your family, to work, enough being scripted. You know who you are, you know who you're supposed to be, you know what you're supposed to say. You need to trust your heart. And I'm speaking to myself right now, trust your heart more often. Yes, acknowledge the ego, acknowledge the fear. We are all human, but also know that it's okay because your friends are still with you because they love who you are, not what you're going to say or what you're going to wear or what you're going to do. Same with your family. So that's my message to you. Whatever you embark in, trust in your abilities. And if someone gave you a chance, trust that they gave you a chance because of who you are. They already trust in you before you even trust yourself. So with that said, I have so many people here that even some speakers, like I was saying last time, this comes a point where after 18 rallies, there's only so many people I know that I'm close to. But now I have the luxury and the opportunity to know so many other people. And some people I don't know as well, but I trust in my heart, in my gut, through the content that I've seen that they put out, through other people that they know. They are meant to be here. And sometimes they don't understand why I called out to them for the opportunity, but I trust them sometimes before they even trust themselves. I have the pleasure of introducing some amazing folks today. And the first I want to introduce is Vivian. Vivian has been so extremely patient because she was actually a speaker a few months ago and she was in our promotional poster and she has shown up in rallies, etc. But due to some circumstances and other speakers had to reshuffle their timing and when they spoke, and she unfortunately had to leave, and we went over the time she was supposed to speak. She graciously accepted to come back because she really, really felt that she needs to share her story. And I'm so glad that she did. She is a rock star when it comes to diversity, inclusion, making people feel like they matter in all walks of life, but specifically in the workplace. She recently, for this, I believe, second year now, has done this amazing event every year called Amplified D&I. And if you haven't heard about it, please follow her because it is growing and growing, and it's going to be the event for diversity and inclusion. I have no doubt. Vivian, I'm so glad that you are here, and thank you for sharing your story.
You are going to make me cry, Andrea. First of all, I need to acknowledge Sejal is in the room. If it wasn't for her, I think I wouldn't have met you. So thank you, Sejal, for being a true rock star and being, a person who challenges others, but also acknowledges others in their power. So thank you, Sejal. And also Andrea. I had an amazing time the last time that I was with you. So don't mind the fact that I could not talk. I learned a lot from that lesson, but to give the other people some insight. I wrote something down. So you were talking about scripting, not scripting. I wrote something down because if I don't write it down and it's very fresh, I cannot, it takes time for me to marinate. So I'm gonna read something and then I'm going to add something of myself. So I'm Vivian Acquah and I wear many hats. I'm a mother, I'm a partner, I'm an inclusive workplace wellness advocate, I'm a consultant. I have my Ghanaian roots as well. That's why I wear these, this colorful headscarf. Also know that I'm based in the Netherlands. And even though the Netherlands is very progressive, we have our red light districts, we have our weed, and we have our cheese, and we have our tulips, there's something underneath happening. So I shared something about my identity, and each version or each label of my identity is part of who I am, but it's also part of my story. Why is it important for me to start that way? Because the journey that I went through with Amplified DEI is basically a personal story. It's a personal healing story, which I've never told anybody. But also a lot of the people that know me know my son. Why? Because he is the main pillar of why I started Amplified DEI. But to bring it backwards, I don't know if you remember that song from Whitney Houston, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. The moment that I found out that I was pregnant, I was watching Alien versus Predator, which isn't ideal when, when you're going through hormones, never do that. But I felt something. I felt like there's something happening within my body. Don't know what's happening, but maybe just let me see, let me take a test to be sure, because I could not place it. And when you listen to the lyrics, or when you decipher the lyrics that Whitney Houston is sharing about teach them young and let them lead the way, before my son was born, I already knew that he would teach me valuable lessons. A little bit more context about my pregnancy. I disclosed my pregnancy at a very early stage, 5 weeks. Why? I was dealing with morning sickness and I was working at a very small company, hoping for sympathy, hoping for empathy, hoping for understanding, hoping for love. Instead, what I got was dehumanizing, was bullying. And it caused me to, at around 6 months, it caused me to leave the workplace for early maternity leave because I was dealing with a high blood pressure. And my midwife told me, like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're putting yourself at risk. And not only are you putting yourself at risk, you're putting your unborn child at risk. When my son was born, he was about 4 months old. I realized something connected with me, because if he comes to me or to his dad and comes to us asking about what can I do? Why is nobody acknowledging me? Why is nobody listening to me? Why is nobody paying attention to me? What would I tell him? And if I'm telling him, how hypocrite would I be if I'm not listening to that same advice? So I left, and I left to become a workplace wellness advocate. I want him to see that his mother is a role model for the human level that we should expect. But also, this is the part where I'm going to where I'm going to share something script, because it's something that happened last year. Is anybody going to hurt you, Mom? This is the question my son Orlando asked me whilst quickly seeing what is happening to George Floyd. I knew then and there I could no longer protect him from this hurtful news. I tried to switch away from channel to channel, but unfortunately, I wasn't in the room and he saw that, and I could see so many question marks on his face. Tried to keep him away from it. But this wasn't the first time that I tried to keep my son away from such an experience. Something happened 2 years ago in Italy During our holiday, I was sitting on a veranda and the people in charge of serving the guests were treating me like I was invisible. At the time, Orlando was 3. So Orlando was asking me, Mom, why aren't they talking to you? Mom, Mom, why aren't they serving you? I knew that I had a choice. I had a choice to speak up and make a scene, or a choice to still protect my son's innocence and take him away. I chose the latter because at the time he was too young to understand racism. He was too young to understand systematic racism. But last year, when George Floyd died, there was no longer the possibility to protect him from the news he had experienced the impact of racism. For the first time, I had to sit down and explain to him what racism is. Mind you, to a 6-year-old. Is anybody going to hurt you, Mom? Tell me, how do you explain racism to a 6-year-old? What do you say? What do you do? How do you do that in a way that you don't crush all his dreams, all his hope, all his expectation in humankind? That's the question that has been soaking in my mind. And I knew that it's not upon a child to sit with those thoughts. It's not upon a child to worry about his mom. His dad is white, his mom is Black. And the fact that he, as a 6-year-old, could see that I have the same skin color as George Floyd, I knew then and there, if a 6-year-old can see that, why is it challenging for people to understand that there are other people hurting, there are other people being excluded? And this is why this is also one of the reasons why I amplify DEI. It's healing for me. It's healing because the question that my son asked me took me back to a place where, and I'm going to mention something triggering, I hope that it won't trigger you, but before my son, I experienced something that is something in the workplace where I almost tried to end my life. I don't want that for him. I don't want that for anyone in the workplace. I don't want that for anyone, period. I don't want them to leave with a feeling that they are the only one, that they have been singled out and they don't matter. So Amplify DEI, I'm gonna connect it to another song from Beyonce, which is amazing. Beyonce has a song, Bigger. And it says, and that's something that I have to read, and I'll leave it at that. But the song is Bigger. Please look it up on YouTube. If you feel insignificant, you better think again, better wake up, because you are part of something way bigger. You are part of something way bigger. Not just a speck in the universe. You're not some just words in a Bible verse. You are the living word. You are part of something way bigger. Bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than the picture they framed us to see, but we see it, and it ain't no secret. I want you to leave today, given what you heard from me and also from the other speakers, what role are you playing in today's society? What can you do to make the workplace or your environment a little bit more inclusive, so that we can end exclusion, so that we can end dehumanization, and so that we can amplify love, amplify empathy, amplify belonging everywhere you are walking? That's it for me. Thank you.
And that was beautiful. I knew about you, and I've had the pleasure of attending some of your things, and but I've never heard that story. And for you to share it today gave me chills, but also reminded me of so many things. So know that it was sincerely appreciated, and we completely feel you and see you, and you are truly meant for something bigger. I can see that in you and sense
Thank
it.
you for having me here, and also thank you for listening to my story. I hope that what I've shared, that it will inspire you to do better, to inspire you to include others and end exclusion.
I want to open it up now to anyone that has any comments to Vivian. Feel free and raise your hand like Melody's doing. So even if you want to say any comments to her, or if you could relate, or if you have any questions, please feel free. Melody?
Any type of struggles that we go through, any challenges that we have, the bigger the struggle, the bigger the purpose. I'm going to give you a quote from Coach Payne, and it's a video on YouTube called Never Give Up. And it's part of it is, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that you are existing in this world right now is because you have things that must be done that only certain people are qualified to take it to the level that it needs to be taken to. When we sit in an issue, when we see from that spot what the problems are, that's how we help create change. So you tell your son that it's because together we are meant to change that part of the world, that there's a problem with the world that we are here to help change. Love to you. Prayers.
That's powerful, Melody. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Anything? Can anyone else relate? Russ. Oh, Russ was clapping his hands. I'm sorry.
Hey, Vivian, I just wanted to say that that was amazing. And
Thank you.
I am a huge advocate of the phrase, we are better together. I think when we come together with, like today, with hope and kindness and love, and working to overcome challenges like that, and we all deal with our own challenges, whatever they might be, the support and love of other people. There's several people here that I know that have supported me, and it's so great to meet new people today. But just wanted to say, I love your authenticity and being able to share, being vulnerable, and just be a blessing to everybody here today. And you do matter. You are worthy, and I hope to get to know you better, because you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Hey, Joel.
Vivian, you're just, you know that I love you. I mean, from the minute we started talking, I just felt such a special connection with you. And then when we did our first interview, you know, one of the first questions she asked me was why I do my work. And we have the same reason, right? I truly do this for a better future for my son and other children of the world who shouldn't have to deal with some of the stuff, especially this last year with these conversations that you talk about.
Yeah.
It really brought me back to just conversations I had to have with my son. Like you, my ex-husband is he's Caucasian too, and so you know, he's got an Indian mom and a white dad, and so I had to have some tough conversations with him too about those issues. And it's never easy having to do that, because you strip away some of their innocence when you have a conversation. So hearing you talk about it like literally touches my heart. And I just want to say that I'm a complete cheerleader of the work that you do. And I'll do whatever I can to continue amplifying your voice like you're doing for so many other people. And if you haven't gone to or seen her, or, you know, participated in, whether as a speaker or as a guest on her DEI conference, I can vouch 100%. No bias. I've talked in a lot of different conferences and been through a lot of them. And this is the best one, because she puts together people that are just like everybody on this call. I can already feel the energy, that are genuinely doing what they're doing with a pure intention, with heart and soul. And so anything I can do to support you, just let me know, Vivian. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Sejal. Thank you.
Okay, Sejal. Anyone else? Shell?
Thank you so much, Vivian, for sharing your story. I don't know if everybody could tell, I was in tears, trying to fight it, but I think Jenny was kind enough to tell me to just let them out. So I was truly bawling and fighting it still. But one thing you said that really resonated with me was when you were talking about, do you make a scene or do you take your son and walk away? And I think especially as women, we are so used to staying quiet and walking away. And so although you did choose the louder, I want to empower you and stand with you to speak up, because
definitely now.
There
Definitely
is
now.
so much that we need to share our voices on. And I'm so proud of you and honored to be here in your presence, for sharing your story and for speaking up and for standing in your power and using your voice to change lives and to make the world better, for not just for you and other women, but for your son and children and children and children to come, because it's so important. And so I applaud you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for sharing, Chelle. I'm not silent anymore. I can't, because the last thing that we want is to repeat what happened last year and to continue as if it never happened. So to be able to connect with like-minded people, but also to be able to hear, to reach out to those who understand that connectivity, but also that empathy that we need to unlock in the world today. I'm grateful for you all for being here and for opening up and for embracing my story. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Giselle, for those words. Vivian, we're so grateful you're here. Sejal, did you have something else, or is your hand still right? Okay. Okay. I wanted also to point out, Vivian, something that struck to me too. You mentioned your boy, only 6 years old, asking you that question. That also says a lot about you, that he had the security and the comfort to even notice that, but also to have that conversation with you. I remember as early as 4 years old was the first time that I felt humiliated. And now I realize it was bullying. But I didn't feel like I had a safe place to talk to anyone about it or learn or really realize what was going on. So that says a lot about you as well. So you're an amazing human. Anything else for Vivian? Wow, what a start. What a start. Thank you so much, Vivian. Our next speaker is Russ Hedge. We have Russ Johns, who spoke also. He was amazing. All the Russes are amazing. Russ Hedge, never ever actually spoke with him, but I feel like some parts of me know him because so many people I do know have spoken so wonderful things about him. He resonates kindness, has such a kind heart, inspiration amplified. He's always about living the life you choose, from what I gathered from his content. And really, I love how you put forth that you're an inspiration specialist. I love that. And that's what I want to be when I grow up as well. So Russ, I'm so humbled and grateful that you are here and cannot wait to learn more about you and your story.
Well, first of all, Andrea, thank you so much. I am really blessed and honored to be here. It is so amazing to be with people that I love and know and people that I don't know yet, new friends to be, I call it. And just amazing. You know, this online community has just been such a blessing for so many people. And I know it's been a blessing for me. So thank you today. And I'm telling you, Vivian, that is hard to follow. You are so amazing. You know, I love people and their stories. And that was amazing. I don't know what else to say. So I'm always here as a supporter and a fan for you as well. I'm a newbie here to this group, and I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I call myself an inspiration specialist. I love to inspire and encourage people. What I am all about, I am here to inspire and encourage you to live a purpose-driven life of significance. And what does that mean? I want you all to be world changers. I want you all to be difference makers, because I truly believe we are better together. And so I love this amazing world that we live in. And I am a husband. I have a beautiful wife of 34 years coming up here 1st of December, who's put up with me for 34 and has blessed me and made my life amazing. I have 2 adult children, a 31-year-old and a 28-year-old. That's making me feel old. They are amazing kids. They've turned out to be such a blessing. And and I have been in the sales and marketing world for 35 plus years. And I decided when COVID hit to make a big change with my life. And that's how I launched into this online community. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing. I've made so many wonderful friends all around the world. So today I wanted to tell you a little story about me. When I was young, I really lived a blessed life. I had wonderful parents. Talk about kindness and love and hope. Growing up with parents who were so kind. My father is my idol, my role model. He was kindness exemplified, and just loved and treated other people so wonderfully. So anyway, I had a great life growing up all the way through school. Went to college at Oregon State University. Big game today, by the way, go Beavers. So anyway, after my freshman year at Oregon State, came home, was working with my dad. He had started a new business, and we, like fathers and sons can do sometimes, we had a little bit of challenge and we had a little argument, and I just needed some fresh air. So I went to go golfing, actually, at a little par 3 golf course. On my way home, I, for some reason, I don't know, I don't remember anything after leaving the golf course, but I got hit on a highway by a pickup truck going 65 miles an hour. They had to shut down the highway completely. They flew in one of the helicopters, Life Flight, and they flew me to Emmanuel Hospital in Portland. It was a blessing of God that there was a nurse behind me and people that knew medicine, because I wouldn't have lived had they tried to transport me via ambulance. So they flew me to the hospital, and they had all these, surgeons ready to go, a trauma team. I was on the edge of death, and my parents were in the waiting room listening to people that were passing away that came in around the same time I did. And so they by far had such a horrible, the worst part of that experience, because they were wondering if I was going to live or die. I had punctured lung, both my lungs collapsed. I broke all my collarbones and my ribs, my jaw in 3 places. And for a talker, that's not a good thing. So anyway, and I had severe burns on my feet, and had a car. It was a car that I'd had 7 days, and it was no longer. So they had to cut me out with the jaws of life to get me out of the car. It was that bad. So what had happened then was an amazing thing with my friends and family who supported me and lifted me up, came around me and encouraged me. To make a long story short, I was out of the hospital in about 3 weeks. I think it was because of my parents being there every day, and my sister Brenda was there every day with me too. And they were ready for them just to take me home. So I went home and finished my recovery, but I told them I was going to go back to Oregon State. This was July 9th, 1983, that this happened. July 9th, 1983. And in the fall, I told them I was going to go back to Oregon State. And there's no way that you're going to do that. I said, no, I'm going back. They said, there's no way. So I am a very strong and, resilient individual. And I said, yeah, I am. So they put me through a battery of tests, and I passed. And so I was able to go back to school with the encouragement, the help, and the blessing of all the people around me. And what it taught me is a couple things. First of all, it taught me what I tell people all the time. Life is so short. It's so precious. Every moment, we don't know if we're going to have 5 minutes from now, much less tomorrow. We don't know what life is going to bring. I could have been gone in an instant, just like that. But because of I believe the blessings of God, I'm here today. I wouldn't have been able to marry my beautiful wife. I wouldn't have been able to have the outstanding, awesome children I have. I believe that I've been able to impact people and inspire them. And in my lifetime, and my children and my wife have taken that to a whole new level, been able to do things. Through my children, have impacted just thousands and thousands of people around the world. And so it's just been amazing to think what I have been blessed and been able to do. And I just want to say to each one of you, think about how you spend your time. Think about how you speak and how you are to other people. Are you being kind, positive, upbeat? Because we can either lift people up or we can tear them down. I think all the people here are lifters. I believe that. But we need to think about how we spend every moment. Are we spending it like we may not have another moment? Are we wasting our lives, or are we living the life we choose? Every day, life comes at us in a crazy way, and we get to choose how we deal with each moment. We can choose our perspective. We can choose our mindset. We get to choose how we move forward. I choose positive mindset. I choose a positive perspective. I tell everybody that I put on my awesome filter every morning. What I do is I wake up every morning before my feet hit the floor. I tell myself how thankful I am, how blessed I am for God, for my beautiful wife, for all that I have in my life, for my children. Then I say, I've got this. I give myself a little pep talk, and I'm so excited that I got this. I have the talents and abilities to get out there and do it. Number 3, I say, today is going to be awesome. And that's putting on my awesome filter. And people I work with sometimes laugh and say, yeah, I can't say that, Russ. That's okay. I'm not telling you that's what you should say. I'm just saying that we filter life through a lens, and I put on my awesome filter, my awesome lens, because when bad things hit that in life, it looks a whole lot better when you're looking at it from a positive perspective. So today, be positive, get out there, be a world changer, be a difference maker. You can all do it. You're all amazing. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh my goodness. Wow, Russ, you are a true survivor, and incredible. It blew me away. Quick question. Where do you get those awesome filters?
Well, you get that in your choice each day, because again, like I said, we all get to choose. I always say life happens and then we choose, right? Because people tell me, why you don't know the stuff that's happening to me. And I say, you're right. I have no idea, but life happens and then we choose. So what are we going to do with it?
Well said. Well said. Wow. Ipek, you have a comment?
Yes. Hi, Russ.
Hi.
First of all, I also want to say thank you to Vivian. Vivian's story was like blew me away, and I'm sending you love from my heart, Vivian. And going back to Russ, I loved your story, and it resonated with me a lot because my father went through something very similar as you. He was in a car accident, and they had to pull both sides of the car to let him out. So he was stuck, and they again the same thing. They flew him to the hospital, and he every day after that, every day he lived after that, we were so grateful, and he was so grateful too. So I know what you went through, and I'm so glad that you had to live to see today, to have your life with your wife and your kids and impacting lots of people's lives. So thank you for sharing that. And I love your what did you call it? You wear your
my awesome filter.
Yes, awesome filter. It's so similar to what I do, because what I say, especially to my clients and everybody around me, is that I'm every morning, put on your shining knight's armor, that armor will protect you from all the negativity coming your way, so that you can protect your positivity within you that you have, and you can cultivate it even more. Just protect yourself. So it's so similar to your approach. I just wanted to share that. And I believe that we human beings are here in this world to just raise the energy. So by being positive, we are raising our energy, and accordingly, we are raising the planet's energy. That's why I also do the meditations, because I believe that when we meditate together, we are collectively doing that. So positivity is the key to everything. Gratitude is the key to everything and to happiness. So thank you for just bringing all these in my mind, and thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ipek. I love that. Shining light armor, awesome filter. I feel like there is a store out there that you should be able to just simply get those, but the store is in us, isn't it? The store is in us. Anyone else have any comments for Russ? Russ Johns. Oh, you're on mute, Russ.
Hey, Russ, I just want to thank you and acknowledge the ability to inspire others around you. You know, we've been connected for a while and go back and forth, and gratitude, the awesome filter, and the ability to inspire others is something that I just want to continue to lift you up and help you achieve your goals in that area. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, and love you, man. Take care.
Thank you so much, Russ. Love you too. And you are an inspiration to me. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Joy?
Thank you, Russ. Thank you so much. And I want to say that when I saw you here, I'm like, Russ Hedge. There's something that we have shared, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if you're in a book that I'm in, but your name has been coming into my world. So good to meet you today and to hear you express. Thank you, Russ Hedge.
Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. And I want to tell you that you were in the center of my screen smiling the whole time. And that was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyone else? Becca, is your hand raised from previously, or you have something else? Oh, from previously. Okay, great. I want to hear, because I'm looking at all these faces, and I know a lot of you, and I know a lot of you have your own similarity. Maybe it's not what you call an awesome filter, or I know Ipek has her shining light armor. What do you have? What attire, or what do you put on every morning that that others can perhaps also look for inside of themselves if they can't find the filter or the armor? What other things are out there? Joy, what do you put on? You're always just a ray of light.
I have spiritual practices at night, in the morning, for every meal. I live a grateful life constantly. If my partner is not around to wash the dishes because he likes washing dishes, I will wash the dishes, and I will be singing in my head a song. It's because I'm healed. I prayed in my journal for a long time to become who I am. And I am a joy to everyone I meet. And I smile because it's in me.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Joy. Melody?
when I wake up in the morning, the first thing is gratitude, because I look at each day as a gift. And then I put on curiosity and I ask God, what do you want me to see? What do you want me to hear? And how do you want me to serve today? And little synchronicities come in and different things come in that are like miracles. And each day has them in it. So each day is a gift because there's presents all in the day. You just have to watch for them. So if you have the curiosity of looking for what the universe and God is showing you or telling you, it creates a whole different perspective on your day.
Wow. Our inner store is truly filling up, isn't it? With all these things to choose from. Ipek? Oh, you're still, oh, okay. Your hand is
So it's not going away.
Okay, if you have an additional question, just raise your hand, your physical hand. Wow. Oh my goodness. Anyone else want to share what they have? I know, Chelle, you said something really powerful. One thing I no longer I'm wearing is my cloak of invisibility. Yeah, there's some things in our own inner store that we need to just get rid of that stuff. Get rid of it. And that is definitely a good example. Good example. Wow. Any other comments? Anything else for our speakers so far? Okay. Let's move, with that said, to Chelle. Good transition. So Chelle, I also don't know, but from the looks of it and from what she's putting out there and from the people that she hangs out with, which I admire so much, Linda, Jenny, amongst the people here today, I knew from the moment that she has got to be a rock star as well. And I knew that I needed to get to know Chelle. I must have her on the rally without even knowing who she is. Something inside me said, I must have her on the rally. And she accepted. And Chelle, I am so, so grateful you are here. I know you do a lot of work in helping people find their ultimate passion in their career, and to work harder and not smarter. And you're all about making sure people are doing the things that they love. And that is so important because, as we know, life is so short. We might as well do what we truly love in the time we are here. So Chelle, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea, for having me. To all the amazing people that are here right now. If I'm not already connected with you, if you don't already know me, you're about to learn a little bit more. I'm Chelle, short for Michelle, but without the meh, because I'm a shell through and through. That means so many things. A shell is protective. It grows with you. And that's something that I've done for myself my whole life. It's something that I try to do for other people as well. But one thing that I try to always bring with me is the knowledge and the fact that you don't know what you don't know. And for so long, I was conditioned and had to break that conditioning to be a certain way, to show up a certain way, to be the thing, to wear the hat, to wear many hats, as Vivian was saying, to do all the things that everybody else needed me to be and do. We all are really good at wearing a lot of hats. Do we all like wearing all those hats? Do we like doing all of those things? We're probably really good at a lot of them. We probably don't like doing most of those things. There's probably only a select few things that we like doing and want to do more of. And it's so easy for us to get consumed by the conditioning, by the titles, by the stigmas, the bubbles that we put ourselves in. And so I want to talk a little bit today about breaking out of that box. Does the box even exist? I've had this conversation with Linda many times. Does the box exist? The box exists so long as it's the box that you put yourself in. That doesn't mean that you can't be in many boxes at once. That doesn't mean your box has to be an actual box. Maybe it's a square, maybe it's a circle, maybe it's a rectangle, maybe it's oblong. The box is what you make it. And I believe that your box can be whatever shape and size. It can be fluid, it can be rigid, it could be there one day and not the other. You can make your box whatever you want it to be. So for me, that means that some days I'm left-handed, but some days I'm very like ambidextrous. Some days I do things with both. I am very extroverted, but I'm also very introverted. I'm the most outgoing introvert you will probably ever meet. I am so nervous right now, I'm shaking, and at the same time, I'm also standing in my confidence. But I'm not all of these things all of the time. You get to see a little bit of me, however I show up, when I show up. And Andrea, as you were saying, should you script? Should you not script? I'm awful with the script. I maybe have like a little bit of a post-it note here, and then you get what you get. It's completely unfiltered from me because I can't force it. I can't. That's a box that I will no longer be in. I can't show up in a box that somebody else has put parameters around. I have learned that I need that autonomy, and I've stayed quiet for way too long that I don't want to put myself in a bubble where it's going to limit me. Why is this important? This is important because, again, we're conditioned from an early age, from infancy, childhood, teenage, early adulthood, and beyond. Even as adults, sometimes we're still stuck in the roles, in the titles, in the bubbles that other people have created for us. And we get so comfortable in that discomfort, even if it's comfortable, even if you're used to it, even if you're afraid to shake things up. Maybe you don't even want to shake things up because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what the outside possibilities are. We're so conditioned throughout our lives to not try and do anything else, to not explore any other possibilities. And it kept me stuck for way too long. It kept me stuck and it kept me quiet. And to the point where I was in a career for 13 years. I started as a graphic designer. I'll give you the short version because I'm not known for, I'll give you the long short version. I'm not known for short stories. I was in a 13-year career as a graphic designer that became so debilitating, mentally, physically, emotionally. It was toxic. I had an abusive boss, psychologically. He would torture me a little bit. He would say that I was like his daughter, but then held that over my head so that I could never have autonomy or do anything differently. Everything was very, very rigid. This is the way things are. This is the way things are going to be. You do not have any freedom. You do not have any creativity. You have to do what I say. And if I did it how he said, I was still wrong, because why didn't I know better to do it a different way? So I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't. And I think part of the problem, not just for myself, is that I knew we as women, we as human beings sometimes know that things are wrong. And we might fight against it a little bit, and then we get knocked back down. We fight against it, we get knocked back down. How many times can you endure that as a human being? How many times can you be silenced and told, this is just how it is, you have to suck it up, you have to stick it out? How many times can you break down on the floor, as I was in the fetal position many times, like having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, or like just getting myself so worked up because I was so overwhelmed and stressed, and asking for help, and everybody saying, it'll be okay, just keep doing what you're doing. There has to be a better way. That I was asking for help, and everybody around me was still saying, no, just keep doing the thing. Because that's how I was showing up, as a people pleaser. I was showing up as a perfectionist, as a high functioning woman, as a multi-hyphenate, multi-potentialite. Those are some of the hats that I wear. Again, I don't wear them all the time, but I wasn't getting a chance to be who I actually wanted to be. I was being the me for everybody else. And I stuck with it for so long because I didn't know any better. It was the way that I was conditioned to be. And so my mission, now that I have freed myself from all of those burdens, my mission is really to help other people find what they're passionate about, to do more of the things that light them up, to not do things just for the sake of doing them for other people. Do what you want to do. Speak up if you want to speak up, but don't stay silent even when you know it's wrong. Because your life is too short to not do what you want to be doing. to not be doing more of those things and taking off some of the hats and the crap that you don't want to be known for. So do I have a lot of titles? Yeah. Did I give myself a lot of those titles? Yeah. Do I need to be all of those things all the time? Hell no. And you don't either. So for no other reason, I invite you, I encourage you, I implore you to take off some of the hats and shed those layers, shed that cloak of invisibility that I mentioned earlier. Don't hide anymore. Be who you want to be. And that's how you're going to stand out from the crowd. That's what I help people with, because you're one of one. I am one of one. We're all uniquely different and beautiful and amazing in our own powers and strengths. And nobody has to tell us who we need to be or how we need to show up. So thank you, Andrea, for having me here.
Wow. Very good. Very well said, Chelle. Very well said. And I can relate to so much of what you were saying. You were being you for everyone else. I can relate to that, certainly. What was the moment or defining moment, if I may ask, that made you awaken and figure out, I'm being me for everyone else. This is it. I'm going to move forward a different way.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I don't think there was just one specific moment, but I think the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, was I was literally how much I was asking for help on a daily basis. And if you know anything about me, like, it's really hard to ask for help. If I got to that point of asking for help, then I really needed it, because as a perfectionist, sometimes I know, or I believe that I could just do the thing myself and it's going to come out the way that I want. And to take down some of those walls, take down those barriers and ask for help to somebody else to like insert themselves and take some of the weight off of me. I really knew that I needed it. I really knew that I could no longer wear all those hats, bear all those burdens, and I couldn't do it alone. And something that I talk a lot about, which I call Operation Separation, is how I tested myself. I gave myself 2 weeks as somebody who never took vacations, because even when I did, I was always on. I always was on 24/7 and problem solving and doing all the things, even on my time off. I gave myself a challenge, if you will. I said, I need to figure out if I can separate from this. I need to figure out if I can be better, because I was physically breaking down. My body cannot take this anymore. And so I took 2 weeks off. And I said, if I feel even a little bit better after those 2 weeks, if I can separate myself even a little bit, dial down reading the emails, stop answering the phones, like just do me and heal. Now's the time. Doesn't matter. And for the first time in my life, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to be doing next. Didn't have a job lined up, which I know is not always the best thing. Like I'm also a planner. That's one of the hats that I sometimes wear. I took 2 weeks. I felt a little bit better, and I wasn't going to go back on what I had promised myself. I think that's one of the most important things. I made myself a promise. If I feel a little bit better, I'm going to do this for me. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. In fact, I didn't even tell anybody that I was going to take these 2 weeks off. My family didn't know. My boyfriend didn't know. My friends didn't know. I just did it because I knew I needed to. And I think that's the challenge, right? Being able to stand in your own power and do what you need to do for you, no matter what anybody else says or thinks.
Wow. Operation Separation, it's in the comments, but I love that. I can see that as a book. Have you written something?
Yeah, I actually have. And I actually want to do more with Operation Separation, because I think there's so many women and humans that have similar stories. I think a lot of people can relate, but there's not a lot of the steps that we need to take in order to break free from those boxes, those chains. And I think Operation Separation is its own thing, has its own identity. and needs to be explored further. So it is something that I'm looking forward to navigating a little bit more with other people.
I love that. I'm so proud of you, Chelle. You're
Oh,
such an inspiration. So thank you so much for sharing. Jenny, you have a comment, question?
Yeah, Chelle, from my heart to yours, in helping people shed the layers to become more themselves, you are teaching them that they're not breaking down, they're breaking through, that they're not falling apart, they're falling into place. And I just wanted to share with you that being a part of your journey in freeing you, you also freed me. Because seeing you, and you don't even have to talk about it, it's just seeing you, giving yourself permission to be you, is offering that safe space for me to do the same. And I'm tearing up, and I love you so much. So from Sweden to you, lots of love.
Thank you, Jenny. I always love having you show up for me, and I love supporting you as well. You have taught me so much about standing in my own power and believing in myself and giving myself the permission to do the thing and shed those layers of needing to do that for other people too. So I'm learning from you just as much as you're learning from me.
That was so beautiful. And I just got chills because if Chelle wouldn't have shared what she just shared, I don't know if Jenny would have said those exact same comments. And those comments that Jenny just said really touched me about, it's not about breaking down, it's breaking through. It's not about falling apart, but falling into place. Wow. So it's everything is truly part of the journey and we need to trust it. And so I'm grateful for all of you. Melody?
Yeah, I love, love, love what you do, Chelle, because the biggest end of life regret people have is I wish I had lived the life I wanted to live rather than what other people wanted me to live. And you're catching people before they get to that point. You're steering them into doing that before they're on their deathbed with that regret. Because once you're on your deathbed with that regret, you can't change it. You're getting to them now. You're helping them now so that they don't have that regret. Love for the noble work you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melody. I definitely need to connect with you and learn more about your journey as well. I'm at a loss for words because I'm holding back tears, but they'll come to me. I will share more when they come back to me.
Thank you so much, Melody. Any other comments for Chelle? That was beautiful. Beautiful. So grateful for you, Chelle. And I can't wait to know more about you. We must connect.
Well done, Chelle. I learn more every time I listen to you.
Well done, indeed. Before we get to our next speaker, I want you inspired me to do something, Chelle. You spoke about the bots. And I did this before a long time ago with one of my teams, but it inspired me to do it again with teams at work. So I'm going to do a simple little exercise, which I hadn't planned for, but everyone take a look at this. In our minds, in the bots of what we are taught to believe and what we are taught in school and what we are just taught as humans, we know if I ask you, what is this? There's an immediate answer that comes to mind, or what I like to call the in the bots answer. There's nothing wrong with the in the bots answer, and there's nothing wrong with people living in the bots. There are stages and places where living in the bots is a good thing. But if I were to ask you, what is this? And don't give me an in the bots answer, what would you respond? What is this? I'm curious. Anyone? Melody?
A taste of spring.
Beautiful.
Nature's beauty.
Nice.
I see race about that. I see children of a different race parented.
Wow.
I see death and letting go. Because death is painful for those who are left behind and beautiful though for those who experience it. And yellow supposedly means goodbye.
Beautiful.
I see dance of colors.
I see growth and opportunity.
Wow. Simple exercise, but imagine if we took the time and sometimes just give ourselves permission to think out of the box when we see things. Yeah, we may see a car down the road. Yeah, we see a person that is smiling. Yeah, we may see a certain sign, a certain photograph, but rather than immediately say what comes to mind, what could it be? Instead of saying what is it, as what could it be? Same thing with words. If let me give an example. If I tell you the word, think of something that you want the world to embrace more of, whether it's world peace, whether it's acceptance. Give me a word. That's something that you wish the world would be better at.
Love.
Kindness.
Okay, let's talk about love first. I heard love first. So the word love, again, I was not expecting to do this, but the word love, in the box, you see the word love, just like in the box, you saw the flower. So we know our definition of love, but what else could love be? Instead of saying, what is love? What else could love be? Anyone?
Sacrifice. Choice and sometimes letting go.
And unloving, right, Jenny?
Wow. So true.
Loving yourself.
Loving yourself. Listening could be love. Just being here and listening, supporting others, a smile, a hug,
Thoughtfulness.
thoughtfulness. So those are just examples of when you see or are asked or observe all around you, what is it? Like, what is it that you're seeing here? Ask, what could it be? And the opportunities are endless, and you may surprise yourself. The next time you see a flower, you may surprise yourself in what you think. So thank you for inspiring that in me, Chelle. We have two amazing next speakers, and I'm so glad we have Marva and we have Maurice that was able to join. So glad you're here, Maurice. Since I give Maurice some time, Marva, I would love it if you can go next and share your story. Now, before Marva goes, I do want to introduce Marva. I've known her for a few years. We actually met through the Houston's Writers Guild, which I hold very dearly to my heart. We're both writers at first, but we connected in several other ways. Marva is an extremely kind person, extremely talented and creative, but she's very spiritual as well. And I just sensed an immediate connection when I spoke with her. Introduced by Marianne, who's here as well, who's another amazing individual who's actually going to be one of our speakers in January, which I can't wait for Marianne. But Marva, I'm so happy you are here. Your strength and your ability to see things in others that others can't see in themselves is really inspiring. So I'm so glad you're here, Marva.
Well, thank you. Anyway, I'm Marvin Mason. I'm in Houston, Texas. And I am a writer and an astrologer, and of course, a lot of other things too. But one of the things that I have always dealt with is trying to figure out who I was or who I am. I was an adoptee from birth, and I had amazing parents, but there was still that empty piece of the puzzle within me that I was desperately trying to find. And it was a lifelong search. But I did it the hard way. And I did find my biological parents, and it started to fill in those blanks. But then before that, I had met a man, David Gray, and his brother wrote the book, let's see, what was it? Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and Men Are From Mars. And he had invited me to meet him in Austin at the Texas Archives because he had a concept and he was working on a huge database called Infant of Records. And it was like a real door opener for a lot of adoptees to find out who they were and where they came from. Because, most kids, they're born with parents and they know exactly what they look like, who they look like. They know where they came from. They have a parental history, ancestry, and an adoptee has nothing. And there is nothing that can fill that other than the knowledge that our legal system keeps from us. And so I met David, and we went through the Infant of Records in the Texas Archives. And for me, it came up with nothing. But while I was sitting there and we were going through the ledger books, I thought about a woman that I had met in Houston who was an elderly African-American woman who really touched my heart. And she had been born in Austin, and where her mother basically walked out of the hospital and left her, and she was raised by the nuns at the Catholic church or the Catholic convent there until she was, of age to, move away and get married and have her own family. And but she had nobody, and it's like, but we connected. We had that same emptiness within us. And when I pulled out a slip of paper that had all of her information on it, and I looked in the Infant of Records for the date of birth and the county, and I found her. And it was a miracle. But to me, I had to get out of my way. It was no longer my search. This was about trying to give her something that nothing else could ever give her. And so she went from being all by herself in this world to having 16 siblings. And she was the only child that her mother gave birth to that was given up for adoption. And although she was never adopted. And so I was able to kind of give her this information, and she wanted me to go with her on the day that she was going to meet her whole family. And so it was a Thanksgiving day. And we went, and it's like, there were just so many different kinds of eyes and energies looking upon each of us, because it's like there were sneers, there was acceptance and love, and her mother scowled. It was just that her mother never expected that wound to be reopened and to be exposed, because she was the child that was given up. And so that was such a moving experience that I had with her. And I was so grateful to have been part of that process. And it kind of really opened me up to it. I wanted to help more adoptees, and I have. And by learning all of the search, tricks and tips on how to interpret records, and how to think outside the box, and that it's not just looking at a birth certificate, but it's like how to unravel all of the clues that can kind of take us and transport us to that place of finding, the core elements. There was also a friend of mine years ago who said something to me. It's like, as long as we're dealing with a human being, we're never dealing with a finished product. And we are constantly reinventing ourselves and moving beyond ourselves, and learning more about who we are. And I think that the thing that helped me more than anything to try to get me to some sort of peace was astrology. That was where I was taught that the moon was the mother and the sun was the father. And it's like, by starting to learn about my moon in Aquarius, could I start to really understand and get an idea of who my mother was, and just to understand her personality through that astrological energy. And that was just the biggest, because it was the only thing I had to go on back in my earlier years, while I was still kind of going through the process. But it gave me more just hope, because I had to work through that. And it's like, if I couldn't find facts, I had to go through the planets. We extend ourselves, through, and we extend ourselves, and karma works. And just knowing that things don't always work out the way that we think that they should, but they work out the way they're supposed to. And just kind of placing everything into the hands of karma, and knowing that the right thing happens. The other beauty about, in that search, I got into the DNA thing, DNA research. And I have now found that two friends that I've had for many, many, many years are actually distant cousins. And it's like, how in the world does that happen? But it was just really awesome to find that there was another reason why I was so connected to those two people, for, like 30 years. And I never would have thought that there was a biological connection. And, but the road of an adoptee is something that no one can really understand unless you travel that road. And it's sacred. And it's something that is just, the other thing, backing up too, was like, when I was on my journey of trying to find out, I would go from lead to lead to lead. And I was led to a woman down in Aransas Pass. And I went to her door, and I was still probably my early 20s. And I had heard that she had lived next door to my biological parents, at the time of my birth. And when I walked up to her door, and she said that I was a spitting image of my mother. And it's like, that was just, it was like ice cream to me. And then her husband was telling me about how my father would walk around without shoes, or he would with his pants legs rolled up and just, barefoot in the grass. And I'm going, that was something I had to hang on to, because I never liked his shoes, and only wore them if I absolutely had to. And so, and then as I traveled 20 years beyond that and actually found my biological parents, even though they were already deceased, but I found letters. And letters came from I guess, friends of theirs who ended up being a brother and sister-in-law of the people that I'd met 20 years before that didn't know about the connection. And it's like, but so something stopped me from being able to make that connection 20 years prior. But so thank you for letting me speak.
Marva, that was really powerful. I did not know that about you. What was it that made you? You said something stopped you before from making that connection. So what finally made you want to start again?
I had to. I mean, because I could not rest until I knew who I was. And then what I found was that my biological father had actually been a survivor of a shipwreck in 1937 off the coast of Florida. And there's a museum in Panama City about him. Wow. And he's actually buried here in Hitchcock. He was a shrimper off the coast. And, my mother was from Cheyenne, but it's like, she wasn't a hero of any sort. She had 3 children that we all had different fathers, and she gave all of us away. But the story about my father, and I went to the museum, I met his cousins and went to the museum there. And it's like, the warmth enveloped me as I got to know him. The first photograph I ever saw of him was in an old newspaper clipping of him arriving on shore after the sinking of the SS Tarpon, and his survival. How he claimed, well, he had swam 26 miles in 20 hours in a storm, and claimed that his survival was from God apples and porpoises that guided him to shore. And I see that same strength in me. And so I feel like I resonate a lot more with him than I do with the maternal side. But information is power. And the more we know about who we are and where we come from, we are empowered.
Well said, Marva. Wow. Any comments for Marva or questions? Did anyone relate to anything that she had mentioned?
It was really wonderful story. It wasn't until I was way into adulthood that my aunt began to search for the baby she gave up, and that turned into a very beautiful story. And she had 3 girls and had given up a girl, so there was then a 4th girl added. And yeah, and I guess she wasn't married, and then she was dating a guy in the army, and so she knew she was going to give up the baby. And my mom had just had my brother, so I knew what big tummies were. I was only about 4 years old, so it was kind of like, I don't think we better bring Linda over to see you anymore. And I just heard all that as an adult. It's always so interesting what has happened in the past, and very grateful times are changing as well. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. Linda, Angel?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mara, that was such a inspiring story. And, you know, I for a long time, I was doing the same search as you were, trying to figure out like where that emptiness that I was feeling inside was coming from, or where that started. I think a lot of people here probably have gone through that. I know several people on this call, but so I started doing the same thing, and I started just kind of trying to go back in my life to figure out like where did that crack or emptiness or however you want to call it, where did that happen? And you know, I went all the way back and found out very recently, this is just in the last like year, where I'm finally starting to put the pieces together, that when I was little, when I was around 1 year old, my parents had me go live in India for a couple of years with family members there. And so I was away from my parents for 2 years as a child, you know, growing up and being in India, a place where, you know, I didn't know anybody or whatever. So it was so interesting when that fact came up, because I'd never heard of that. You know, I'd seen pictures of me in India, but I knew we'd gone back several times. I never knew that I was actually there for that long away from my parents. And so when I found that out, going to what you're saying, that information is power, like that was the completion of that search that I was on there. That I can finally say, well, that kind of makes sense. You know, like that explains a lot about why I'm feeling that way and why I've been searching for that. And I can put that to rest now, to say, okay, you know, I don't need to keep searching for that anymore. Like now we can figure out, like, with that information, now that I'm empowered, how can I move forward, right? And help others who might be going through that. But that's the other piece that really resonated of your story about the whole, your emptiness, you know, you were able to fill her emptiness in a way that nobody else could, and vice versa. Those connections are so powerful when you meet people like that, where you know that you're able to fill that part of them or connect with them on that deeper level. That's how I kind of look at it. And I had a friend like that too, where she had been on a similar journey, a similar search, and I recommended to her, you know, like, well, but what, you know, how was your childhood? Like, well, is there anything about that? And she kind of started asking some questions. And she found out that she was actually away from her parents as a child, when she was like 1 year old or 1.5, she was away from her parents for 3 years in a different country. And so it's interesting when you start unraveling all of these layers and you find out like, okay, wow, there are reasons that we don't have any control over. We're put in these situations, and it's all going back to what, like Russ says, you know, moving forward with that positive lens and not letting that information cripple you, but rather it empower you. So thank you for sharing that. Really inspired me and got me thinking about some stuff I want to talk about and write about after hearing your story. So thank you.
Oh, well, wonderful. Yeah. One last thing too, that I would like to say is that I think that as far as adoptees or any kind of family separations, that our whole families and other people really need to step up their game, because I grew up with all of relatives, other outside of grandparents and parents, referring to me as the adopted child. So where you always grow up feeling like the outsider and that you're not real. And so that intensifies that whole struggle of trying to find, you know, that missing piece in where you belong. So that, you know, I think that a lot of adoptees go through that, you know, where you have that extended family ostracizing them.
For sharing, Marva, and your beautiful words, Sejal. Melody, did you have your hands up earlier?
I did. My thought was, this is a perfect example of you let the universe flow you to what you needed to do, not only for yourself, but because you sat in that struggle, you were able to see things that other people wouldn't have figured out how to do, and you helped other people through it. So maybe during that time that you were paused, that you were prevented, it was because your destiny was to help somebody else with theirs during that time frame. So you could have had an enormous impact at that time for somebody else, and that was your destiny during that time, rather than being prevented to do the things that you were trying to do for you.
Right. Thank you.
Wow. Makes sense. Marianne?
See if I'm on mute. I think so. I just wanted to say that I am so blessed that I met Marva Mason in 1982. I met her at the Renaissance Festival, and my late husband was with me when I met her, and she read our palms. And she's since been a dear friend and an astrologer to me and many of my friends. But I think Marva's journey has been one where, because of what she's been through, she's been able to study and develop herself to help other people. And I just feel so blessed to know her. And I think maybe the wisdom here is that, you know, with all of us that I've heard today and all of us, what we've gone through that have been here, if we can all work together to help each other grow from what we ourselves have been through, you know, what a prettier, greater world would it be that we have that sense of compassion and understanding and even power. Because I think that the people that have struggled, that have hurt, that have, you know, been to the bottom of the barrel, sometimes we raise up like the phoenix from the ashes and are able to help others. And I think that our journey is all the more fulfilling when we can do that. But I love Marva Mason. She's helped me in so many ways. And I'm so thrilled that Andrea asked me to be a part of this today. Thank you.
Wonderful to see you again, Marianne, and I agree completely with what you said about Marva. Thank you so much, Marva, for being here and for sharing.
Thank you.
Wow. So last but not least, we have Maurice, and I see Maurice. Hello, Maurice. Maurice is joining us from Africa, which is amazing. Vivian, I forgot to mention, Vivian was joining us from Amsterdam. Russ is from Salem, Oregon. Chelle's from New York. Marva, Houston, Texas. So it's truly a global community. Maurice and I have not met either, but something about one of his recent posts really sparked at me. And then when I looked him up, he was all about living his values. He was all about kindness, inspiration, and never giving up on your dreams. And I'm like, I must get to know this individual more. Something told me also to ask him to be on this rally, and he immediately accepted. And so I am so grateful that you are here, Maurice. Thank you for taking time to be here, and I can't wait to learn more about you.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
All right, thank you so much for this privilege, Andre, and I really appreciate that. It's my pleasure to be to me in the midst and to be in this great rally for hope and kindness. Like you already know, on LinkedIn, I share a couple of posts, and usually with the title "Never Give Up," because life has been very funny and amazing for me. And I want to encourage everyone never to give up. By the way, I am Maurice Ugochukwu, and I am an inspirational leader, a go-getter, a philosopher, an entrepreneur, and the CEO of Maurice Ugochukwu International Limited. It is very important that I am here today for this online rally to spread hope and kindness, because we can never overemphasize the importance of hope and kindness. I have a couple of stories to share, but more importantly for me today, I decided to share this figurative story of an eagle, the life cycle of an eagle. I know we know about the story of an eagle, Now, I chose to share the story of an eagle because my surname is Ugochukwu. It can be interpreted as the crown of God. It can be interpreted as the beauty of God. It can also be interpreted as the eagle of God. So I choose to interpret it as the eagle of God. Now, relating with this, the figurative story about the eagle, I saw it very necessary to share today and very important and relative to my life as a person. And I wish individuals, I wish people would see and understand from the life cycle of an eagle. Now, the figurative story goes this way, that the lifespan of an eagle is 30 years, but at 40 years, the eagle decides to live or to die. The eagle decides to live for another 40 years or to die, another 30 years or to die at 30. Now, this decision is usually a painful one. This decision is usually a very, very tough decision to make, because the eagle will have to go for months without food, without water. Now, from my findings, the eagle has to stay without this for how many months? 5 months, 150 days. Now, within this period, this voyage of the eagle needs to pull off its phalanx. It needs to pull off its beak. It needs to pull off the feathers. Now, these three features of an eagle makes the survival of an eagle very important, makes an eagle survive, because with the beak, the eagle is able to do what? To pierce food and to eat. While with the feathers, the eagle is expected to fly, and with the phalanx, the eagle is expected to grab the prey. Now, at some point in our life, we need to make decisions whether to live or not to live. But usually, like my quote would say, never give up. If the eagle at some point in its own life would decide not to give up, will decide to continue, will decide to live an extra years, then we should learn to never give up. We should learn to never say no. We should learn not to quit. Sometimes it is very difficult for us. Sometimes life can be very, very frustrating, but we must learn never to say no. We must learn never to give up. Few months ago, I got admission to study in Germany. I couldn't afford the fund, or I couldn't get the fund to travel. That was a devastating situation for me. But I had to pick up myself. Even when the fame, I wasn't interested again in traveling. I stayed for some months without the job until the year of establishing my company came up. And I got my company, Maurice Ugochukwu International, because I never gave up. So I encourage us not to give up. Better days are ahead. If we don't give up, then we are sure of tomorrow. But when we give up, we can't be sure of tomorrow, because always at the light, always there is light at the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. But if we give up, we won't be able to see the light. We must persevere. We must continue the struggle. So it is very, very important that we get to understand the fact that we must give hope. How do we give hope? By what we do online, by our personal interaction with human beings, our personal interaction with persons. Because at a point, I came to discover it is no longer about me being an inspirational speaker, being an inspirational leader. On a daily basis, I come across a couple of persons who need my support financially. I need to do that. So it was very pertinent for me to establish my company, Maurice Ugochukwu International. So we must continue in the fight, or in this online rally of giving hope, giving kindness. It costs nothing, especially at this point, but it costs everything. It means everything to give out hope. Many persons are in different terrible situations. What they need is hope. On a daily basis, how many persons say, oh, thank you? Sometimes the hope you give to people can be the like you give to them online. They make a post, you support them. Oh, I like this. Keep up the great work. You are giving hope. A couple of times, many persons say, oh, I don't know your next post. I love what you are doing. Please keep it up. Because I give out hope, because I motivate them. I tell persons a couple of times, it takes nothing less than a minute for people to give up. You see, you are with somebody a few minutes ago, and the next time the person is gone. But if you have reached out, you could have saved that person. So it is very important that we do what? We give out hope. We give out kindness. You give water to those who are thirsty. You give out your clothes to those who are naked. We are giving hope. And the world can always be a better place because we are doing what? We are giving hope. So I encourage us never to do what? Never to give up. Never to give up. Oftentimes, my post online will go with the theme, never give up, because there is always hope if we don't give up. So I encourage us, we must continue in this fight for online rally of hope and kindness, because that is what the world needs so much at this point in time. You know very well, a few months back, we're all enslaved by the pandemic, coronavirus. A lot of persons have lost their job. So many families may not have their square meals. So many families are in different, the dilemma, or they are still recovering from the effect of COVID. So we must stand out today and forever to become a voice, to become another voice of hope. In everything we do, the little things we do, it matters a lot. Hope doesn't cost much, but it means everything. Your smile to your neighbor is a source of hope. So I want us never to give up. I want us to continue in this fight, in this online rally of what? Spreading hope. And I tell you, if we continue in this vein, the world will become a very beautiful place for us all. Thank you so much for the privilege to share this with you. And I look forward to sharing most of my stories with you again, because I have so many stories to share. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Maurice, thank you so much. That was beautiful. That was really beautiful and inspirational. I have one question for you, and I know some other people have comments. You spoke about never giving up a lot. What
Yes.
what makes you have that life purpose? What was the incident or circumstance or reason of why you are so passionate about that?
Thank you so much for that question. First of all, is that as a person, my peer, my colleague, they admire me for my leadership skills, for my exceptional leadership skills. And right from childhood, I've been a leader unknowingly in every association, organization, right from school days until now. I've had a couple of leadership responsibilities. I've always learned how to start little. And from starting little, I wasn't giving up. Because there are situations where I saw myself, I was asking, would I be able to do this? At the end of the day, because I never gave up, I saw myself doing it perfectly. I saw myself achieving certain goals. For instance, while I was in the university, I held certain leadership responsibilities. I had the opportunity to grow some associations from few members to one of the largest in school. Why? Because I never gave up. So this has been my life, never giving up. Because always I believe and I know there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are many other experiences where I've had that tells me, and I love to teach people about not giving up, because I am certain, and I want people to always believe that at the end of the tunnel, there is light. You only need not to do what? Give up. Once you don't give up, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. I hope I am able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you for reminding us of the light. Absolutely. And you are shining today, Maurice, with your light.
Thank you so much.
Oh, your hands are okay. That's fine. Those hands that just don't want to go down today. That's great. So anyone have any comments for Maurice? Anyone can relate to the message? Terry.
Yes, I have a voice. I usually speak, but I haven't spoken today. Maurice, that was beautiful. And you come from lands that have a high tribulation. And I so resonate with another soul who doesn't hold themselves down or back on their journey, because their point of presence is forward. And I emulate you and highly respect you and your story. Beautiful, beautiful, very wonderful. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. Anyone else? Really appreciate you being here, Maurice. Thank you so much. So we had a lot, gosh, we've just gone through some other amazing stories today, and so many inspiring insights and just lessons learned between, choosing our perspective, putting on our awesome filter. The bigger the struggle, the bigger the purpose. You are part of something way bigger. Does the bots even exist? Stand in your confidence. It's not about breaking down, but breaking through. As long as we're dealing with a human being, we're never dealing with a finished product. Maurice, never give up. Wow. Anything else that someone took away from today that really resonated with them?
I want to say it's always a huge pleasure being in this atmosphere of positivity and courage and resilience. And Andrea, I have been coming to your events. It's been a while now, and every time I come here, I realize once again that we are the part of oneness. We are connected to each other through our stories, through our vibrations and energies, and it's so beautiful to listen everyone's unique and beautiful stories. And every time I hear a story, I feel empowered and inspired. So thank you everyone for sharing your stories with us, and thank you, Andrea, for putting this whole beautiful once a month thing together.
Thank you so much, Ipek. Thank you. And for all of you that took so much time out of your holiday weekend, if you're in the United States or with family, I really appreciate you being here. Anyone else before we wrap up? Bye, Linda. So I want to remind everyone, we hold these on a monthly basis, the last Saturday of every month. However, in December, the last Saturday of the month is Christmas for those that celebrate Christmas. So what I wanted to do something different for December is mid-December, I'm going to publicize it. But what I want to do something I did similar to last December, which is instead of having 5 speakers, I want to have this worthy rally, but it's going to be called the gift of you, because during the holidays, everyone is gifting each other things, but we often forget that we ourselves are gifts as well. So I invite people to come and share their gifts of you with each other. Last year, we had someone dance. Last year, we had someone sing. Someone read their poetry. Someone showed their work of art that they painted. Whatever it may be, a gift. If you can share it with us, that would be beautiful and wonderful. So this is open to anyone and everyone. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you can be there. Thank you again, all of you, all the speakers. Bless you. Grateful to have you here, and all of you that attended today. I will see you next time, and have a wonderful end of the weekend.